basketball player for the NBA and take over my dad's business.
Yeah. Why do you want to be a basketball player for the NBA?
Because I love basketball and it looks fun.
I want to be a princess.
Why do you want to be a princess?
Because they are pretty.
Okay.
Astronaut.
Yeah, you want to be an astronaut? Why do you want to be an astronaut?
Because I love space.
You like space? Hey Annie, what do you want to be when you grow up?
A teacher.
A teacher? Why do you want to be a teacher?
Because I really like school and I love reading.
We spend nearly half of our life working. How often do we have a chance to unplug from our daily regimen of earning an honest living? How many of us feel consumed, backed up, like every day we lose a small piece of our dreams, or a piece of who we are, living paycheck to paycheck? The purpose behind the making of this DVD is to offer some possible answers to some very meaningful questions. As in athletics, have you ever asked yourself, at this stage of my life, how many timeouts do I have left? This documentary, or Short Timeout, was created to empower you to live a more meaningful life between the lines. I actually took a film crew with me and went on a stretch and interviewed people like you and me who earn an honest living. This is interesting. Enjoy. I must say I was more than a little nervous, bringing a few cameras to randomly interview the working class. I warn you, parts of the journey are bumpy and a little uphill. Let's go to the hard-working people that work on a time clock, hours for dollars. What were you making per hour?
I went from $6.50 and I got a raise up to, I think right now I make $10.25.
$10.25 an hour. Awesome. What are the things you like about your job?
I like interacting with customers.
I started at 9 an hour.
Okay.
And now I make 10 an hour.
So what are some of the challenges that you don't like about a time clock per se?
If you wake up late, or if you're sick, or if you're on vacation, whatever, and you don't have vacation, you don't get paid for any of it.
In order for us to provide the possible solutions, it is critical that we go into a variety of working trenches to uncover the reality of a payday. After our visit to the time clock, next we interviewed corporate employees on salary to get inside and look what climbing the corporate ladder feels like. Say some of the challenges would be in working in just a general corporate environment.
You know, there are always different personalities that you have to balance.
Politics, total politics.
Okay, how about going to salary? Did you find that you worked more hours or less hours?
More.
Yeah, now that there's a price tag on you.
Yeah.
So you work more hours. What are the things you like, however, about being on a salary? Versus a time clock, maybe?
I don't know. If I have vacation planned, I'm still getting paid while I'm gone.
I can hear the echoing of the little old man at the grocery store today. 40 minutes to work, 40 hours a week, 40 plus years with little or no social security, questionable health, and bills to pay. One of the observations I made in this interview process was the difference between survival and passion. The passion barometer hardly moved during the course of these interviews. I can't help but think that the next significant event in their life is the possibility of death. This very second, young or old, it's a choice. Start living or not. Take Frank, who spent 20 years climbing the corporate ladder, maneuvering through corporate politics, only to discover that it was not his ladder. He was replaced by someone half his age for half his price. What if you had the money to start any business and be the boss? We actually visited the dreamers and entrepreneurs. We went to hamburger stands and hot dog stands and taco shops, pizza parlors, donut shops, coffee shops, mechanics, taxis, dry cleaners, contractors, tow trucks, retail clothing, gas and goes, and many, many more. So many people say to themselves, if I only had the money to fund myself to boss status, then I'd be happy. So guess what? We asked business owners the good, bad, and indifferent of owning their own business. The tell-all answers were in the questions of how much money and how much time. You get to be a fly on the wall. Check this out.
I spent 7 days a week, 16 hours a day, 102 hours a week.
Oh, 102 hours a week. Did you take a vacation?
I took 4 days off the first year.
How many cups of coffee you need to sell a day to pay your overhead and break even?
At least 100 cups a day.
But just to start your pizza place. What kind of investment did it take from you?
It took me roughly about $100,000. First year I opened, I went through about 30 employees.
Maybe 400 burgers a day.
400 burgers a day. We're going to order.
To start the business, it was in excess of $1 million capital. Total capital probably somewhere between $7 and $9 million.
Wow. So payroll's pretty up there?
Yeah, it's in excess of $500,000 a month.
Okay, I'm here with Steve, who's a general contractor. And Steve, how long have you been doing contracting work?
For 45 years. That's the hardest part about what I do. I'd like to retire, and I have no retirement. There is nothing there. I mean, Social Security is not even going to be there when I retire.
Now that we've defined hourly, salary, and owning your own business, or 40-40 hindsight, instead of looking hindsight, let's have foresight. Let's discuss what we call residual eyes. So what is the difference between 40-40 hindsight and residual eyes? While they both have something to do with your vision, one sees the future, while the other, regretfully, sees only the past. So imagine having your own ladder, climbing it, and putting forth the same hard work and effort. So the question is that of your vision. Are you headed to 40-40 hindsight? We caught up with Kathy, owner of a large, healthy grocery store, running her conventional business with one foot in her home-based business, residual income.
Whether it's in network marketing or whether it's in traditional business, you're going to work hard. But in network marketing, you don't necessarily have to work as hard so long because you've got the residual income coming in. Where in a conventional business, you're going to work long and hard for a long time.
Cool. Okay, so now we're going to show you how things look through residual eyes. If you could afford 30 or 40 of these and you got a piece of every single toe that went out every week, every month, you wouldn't have to work again. Okay, final question. What if today you could make a commission off of every one of their jobs? How would you be today? How well? How would you be wealthy? How many cars go by to get a ride? I'm curious.
Pardon me?
How many cars do you think have to go by before you would get a ride?
Well, considering what I'm at, probably a couple hundred.
Couple hundred?
Time we went to Jamaica. And I think it's really key because if you have the right people in your organization and you train them properly and you really are a family, you can let them go, you don't have to babysit them, and when you come back, good things happen. Yeah, I've worked conventional businesses. I've owned my own businesses for over 35 years, and after being in network marketing, and there's no way I could go back to what I've done previously. I'm unemployable. I'm unemployable. I'm unemployable.
Okay, now that you have residual eyes, let's get that business started. So, you don't need all that startup money for buildings and offices and employees. And you're probably wondering, well, what do I do? Oh yeah, you've got to get your inventory for your new business. So now you get all excited because it's on its way to your house and here comes that truck. You clear your garage as the truck backs in. You brace yourself for all that inventory because you are an overachiever. You admire your new business and its inventory. You're so proud of yourself. You take big bites. 10 days later, it's still there. And after wasting 10 days, you start thinking about a plan. 20 days later, you start stressing. You're so hard on yourself, feeling like you're a sucker. You've been taken advantage of. You've been ripped off. And finally, the month ends. Sadly, those who have no residual eyes start thinking about quitting. So they have a pity party. They even break into their own inventory, and then they realize that they are still in business. Remember, this is your business. Take responsibility for its success. If this is too much inventory for your home-based business, maybe you should have a time clock. It's important for you to be a product of your products. So what are you waiting for? Start creating your options now.